All right, let's wait just a little longer, see if anyone gets on with us, and then we will start the show. We had, I think, 48 views. Last one.
Very cool.
It's good.
Yeah, we're jumping up there. Popularity. Love it. Well, cool.
All right, here we go. Everybody, hello. This is Appa Brian, and I'm with my son-in-law, Dan Mattingly. And we're back for week 2 of Picks to Post for the NFL. We're picking lines. We're picking just winners of the games. And last week, Brian, we were kind of like Mahomes and the Chiefs. Mahomes, here, you get a touchdown pass, you get a touchdown pass, you get a touchdown pass. Everybody gets a touchdown pass. Well, last week, we got Justin's picks, and everybody wins. Everybody was 9, 6, and 1. We all came in first place.
Hey, there you go.
Which is better than the 50% we did last year in week 1 with all the upsets. So we're all at 60%. Dan, you want to save the Chiefs San Diego game, or you want to do it? Go ahead and do it first.
Oh, let's save it for last.
Why not? I think we should save that for last as well. So we'll put them at the end. And then first up will be the Jets and Browns. And I think this time we'll take turns going first. You can go ahead and get started.
Okay, so both teams played surprisingly well in the first week. Really thought the Browns made a nice little comeback on the Panthers there to get a field goal to end it and ruin Baker Mayfield's revenge game. I think their defense showed a lot of promise. I think they're very opportunistic. Amari Cooper looked fantastic. They were getting him the ball in some good spots on the field for him. The Jets look much improved. We'll kind of have to see how much more improved they are as they get Zach Wilson back into the lineup. They are very young, seem to fly around the ball pretty well, but they gave up a lot of points too. I have the Browns here. I think them being at home is a big factor, and I really liked what I saw from them last week.
Yeah, I thought Baker was a little tense. There were a few overthrows. I think he was just pressing a little bit. He'll get it together. I'm not sure his team will get it together if they only run McCaffrey 10 times a game, but Baker will get it together. Cleveland looked good. They introduced Brees Hall a little bit. Or that would be the Jets introduced Brees Hall. Got 23 yards. Michael Carter got 60 yards. Still, the longest pass was only 24 yards, so they're not throwing the ball downfield with Flacco.
As they shouldn't.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't. Cleveland looked solid. Just the quarterback didn't play great, but everybody else did. You had Chubb with 141 yards, and Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns, 1 catching and 1 running. Myles Garrett had 2 sacks. So, yeah, Cleveland, they're celebrating Cleveland's first win in 18 years on opening day. So I'm with you. I'm going to take Cleveland, and I'm not sure who Justin's taking. He hasn't got me his picks yet, but we'll get him before Thursday. Okay, next one you should have something to say about. That's the Commanders at Detroit.
Oof.
Kind of a pick'em game.
Isn't it, though? Man, Detroit played very well against the Eagles. Almost came back and took that game. The Commanders, it looked amazing last week. They really did. They showed off their weapons. Carson Wentz did enough to win it for sure. I mean, they're not totally relying on him. Defense looked better than I expected. Really think that they're going to struggle against the elite teams, of course, but when they're playing more the middle of the pack, it's not too bad. This is going to be a great game. I'm leaning toward Detroit because they're home, and I really like what they've done in the offseason. I think Jared Goff looked kind of Rams Jared Goff before things kind of went downhill when they were making the playoffs and even that Super Bowl. He looks like he's back. I expect them to take this one, but I expect it to be close.
Yeah, this one kind of scares me. To me, they're pretty even. Still, Carson Wentz is not throwing the ball downfield. They didn't have any. Maybe 24 yards again was their deepest throw, maybe 27. Antonio Gibson had a good day, 58 yards rushing, 71 yards receiving. It's going to be kind of Antonio Gibson against DeAndre Swift, the Lions running back. We'll see who has a better day. Washington's offensive line only gave up 1 sack. That's kind of telling. So I'm giving a slight lean to the W on Washington. I have a new helmet. Maybe that W means win.
Maybe. Hey, they haven't lost yet.
No, Lions are home, and I like their coach, but I'm picking Washington. Okay, next game is the Tampa Bay Bucks at the New Orleans Saints.
Tough game. The Bucks really dominated the Cowboys. Yeah, they got stopped and they didn't put in touchdowns. They were mostly scoring field goals. They had 4 of those. So we got to see the very odd score of 19-3. That's a pretty tough game right there for a showcase game for the NFL. And it looks like, we'll talk about this later, but Dallas's season's about over after the first week. Tampa's defense looked great. They were getting after Dak, even unfortunately injured him. But New Orleans really struggled with the Falcons. The Falcons gave them a great game where they had to make a last-minute comeback. Jameis Winston looked terrible for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden in the 4th quarter, he was like a house on fire. Got to be more consistent there. I went back and forth on this one, and I ended up sticking with the Saints. They've really owned the Bucks in recent years, and I believe that they're going to get the edge in this one.
And did you have Washington in the Washington game?
I had Detroit in that one.
Detroit, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jameis Winston in the 4th quarter was 13 for 16 with 212 yards passing. So he exploded in the 4th quarter. Then they blocked that field goal to kind of save them. New Orleans they suffered 4 sacks, but their offense was pretty balanced between running and passing. Tampa Bay is, I think, less balanced because I think the only running back they're really relying on is Fournette. Fournette had a good game, but there really wasn't anything else behind him. I thought the offensive line would be a bigger problem protecting Brady, and then they also lost their left tackle. But they kind of got through it, and Brady wasn't running for his life and wasn't sacked a lot. So I think they got that going. Goodwin pulled a hamstring, so I think he's out.
Yeah.
But you still got Julio Jones, and you got Mike Evans. So
Julio looks great.
They're kind of okay at the wide. They're more than okay at the wide receiver position. So I am also picking. I'm not also picking New Orleans. I'm picking Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm on.
Yeah, I actually had New Orleans down first, and I crossed it out and put down Tampa. I mean, I know they only got 1 touchdown, but a lot of my worries about them were kind of answered in that first week.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Parsons got in there a couple times, but he's going to do that regularly.
Yeah.
So we differ on that pick. It's 2 out of 3. We won't differ on. I don't think we'll differ on this one. We got Carolina coming to the Giants.
Oh boy. Well, I can't believe the Giants won that game. I really can't. They look good though. They put a few things together. They were really competitive. They love that coach. Saquon, I mean, now that I say this, he'll, of course, get hurt on the first play of the game. Saquon looks great. He's healthy. He's explosive. He looked excellent on that 2-point conversion. But they were really lucky to be in that game at all, I thought. I don't see a lot from that offensive line. They're really I think it was league-high pressure on Daniel Jones. And for a quarterback that needs as much help as he can get, I just really don't know if that's a sustainable recipe for success. But happy to see the Giants be competitive. Panthers, I think they played about as bad a game as they can play. Baker, just like Jameis, he had a bad first 3 quarters and then put together a fairly decent fourth quarter. Like you said, they underutilized McCaffrey. Probably they've got the yips and are trying to keep him healthy, but they really need to run the ball. Defense looked good, and the receiver DJ Moore is, of course, steady and consistent. I went a little back and forth on this, but I do believe that the Panthers have the better team here.
Okay, got you down for Carolina. Yeah, the Jets are in such a major market in New York. I think the world and the NFL world would like to see, I said Jets, I mean the Giants, would like to see one of those New York teams, become a competitive team. And I think between the two, the Giants have the best chance. I think Dable's going to be a good coach for them. I've already seen it. He called a great game. And by the way, they've got some tough people on that team. When the Chiefs played them last year, I think the Chiefs won fairly easily, but I left that game feeling like that really wasn't easy. They hit you and they play hard. Dable really got on Daniel Jones on the sideline for a mistake that he made, but I think it was not like Joe Judge getting on him. It was kind of like Dable's trying to teach him and bring him along. I think he's popular with his players, and I think Dable is going to be a good coach. Again, I'm not a fan of Matt Rule. He's got to use McCaffrey as his best weapon.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to use McCaffrey, I don't see how he wins. So I went ahead and I went with the Giants in this game.
Wow.
We're going to have very different records when this is done. One of us might put the other to bed. Okay, New England Patriots at Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, other than the Cowboys, I thought the Patriots had the worst week 1. They were really only able to put up 1 touchdown. They had 7 points, and Mac Jones hurt his back. It was probably just the worst result they could expect. They look to be lost on offense and really not have a plan. And the defense is nowhere near what it was during those Super Bowl runs. I have here. I know TJ Watt is out, but I loved what I saw from them early in that Cincinnati game. They kind of started to give up a lot toward the end. But I think that Pittsburgh has enough, especially with what I saw was a solidly run offense from Mitch Trubisky. And I know Najee Harris may be out, but I think they'll have enough to take care of this Patriots team.
I was pretty confident early on with the Steelers, but, with TJ Watt out and Najee Harris questionable, it's kind of the best player on each side of the ball. But Mika, if you're giving out game balls for last week's game, Mika Fitzpatrick had a terrific game with a pick 6. Was that the first play of the game?
Yes.
Yeah, pick 6 on the first play of the game, and then he blocked a
game-winning field goal.
Yeah, so he had a day he'll remember the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I want to thank DJ John for joining us. He's picking the Bucks and Carolina. And Lori didn't like the Commander's name still, so she's picking Detroit. So the Patriots, Matt Patricia called the plays on offense. It wasn't Joe Judge. Um,
I don't like
Supposedly with heavy influence for Belichick, but I don't like their offense. I just don't think they've got the wide receivers and tight end to help Mac Jones out. And Pittsburgh did show quite a bit, and he's never had a losing season. So I'm kind of leaning toward Pittsburgh. Did you see that catch by Devontae Johnson on the sideline?
Oh, that one hand.
One hand on the sideline and the toe drag swag.
That was wild.
That was probably the catch of the year for them. I'm liking the Steelers till they show me otherwise. So you had
Steelers on that.
Pittsburgh. Lori is going with New England. DJ has no faith in Trubisky, but they're still better than New England, he thinks.
Oh, come on, DJ. I saw him throw to the left like 3 times. It was great.
Okay, next up is the Indianapolis Colts and Jacksonville Jaguars. Finally got me a black Jacksonville helmet. I had that combination black gold one, but now I got proper helmet now.
There you go. Looking good. Well, the Colts were really disappointing in that first week, weren't they? That was rough. I think we all took a beating on that pick. Jacksonville, they came up a little shorter than I expected. They looked okay though. Trevor Lawrence still missing a lot of throws, but they definitely have the weapons to compete. I really expect a bounce back from the Colts though. I just don't think a roster as talented as they are on defense and offense can be that bad week to week. I expect Jonathan Taylor to have a big game against this Jacksonville defense. I don't think that they'll be able to put the clamps on him. And man, Michael Pittman Jr. looks great. He's an excellent player. I love the linebackers for the Colts. I think their defensive line is going to be able to slow down Etienne, and hopefully the Colts can pull this one out. But after week 1, it's a little up in the air for that team.
Well, I think week 1 was a little deceiving. They did have 517 yards on offense and only gave up 299 on defense. Taylor had 151 yards rushing, so he's well on his way to possibly leading the league for a second straight year. Jacksonville, they showed some good signs. Robinson's back, and he led the way. Etienne caught some passes, but let's see.
He's their feature back.
Yeah, he's got some power. He can run, and he's got some power to him.
It's a good thunder and lightning mix for him.
Trayvon Walker could be a force in this league. He had a sack and he had an INT. And then you still have Lawrence throwing the end of game interception.
Yeah,
we've seen before. So I'm going with Indianapolis. I think they'll beat Jacksonville, but that could be an entertaining game.
Mm-hmm.
And DJ 4444 expects a bounce back from the Colts as well. Okay, next we got Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens.
That'll be a tough game, exciting game. I'm looking forward to seeing what these two teams look like matched up with each other. You've got the potential to air it out with the Dolphins if Tua will take the shots. He was hitting Tyreek Hill quite a bit. It does take, I did notice, quite a few more catches for him to sniff 100 yards than it did when he was with the Chiefs. But they're getting him open. Waddle on the other side, he'll be making plays. I really do think they have one of the, it's an above average NFL defense over there in Miami. And the Ravens are always well coached. John Harbaugh's one of my favorites. Really think that we could have seen a lot more from Lamar Jackson, but the defense may give Tua a little bit more trouble. I went back and forth on this one too. My gut says Ravens, but I could be very wrong.
Okay. Tyreek Hill and Waddle are probably a better combination than Tyreek Hill and Hardman was here. Waddle had the long touchdown catch. Melvin Ingram, you saw he had a fumble. Was it a fumble return for a touchdown?
Mm-hmm.
And he'll help their defense. He was really great with the chase. I was sad to see him go. He's good against the run, and he can defend passes when he's asked to also.
A lot of deflections. That guy gets his hands up as well as anybody.
Yeah. If Tua stumbles, I don't know how long it'll take him to go to Skylar Thompson, but I'm kind of hoping for that. That K-State guy. Baltimore Ravens, from what I saw of Lamar Jackson, he looked pretty good. His throws were pretty accurate, and he has a quick release. He scrambles well. I think the Ravens will take Miami. Miami doesn't have the running game going too well. And I don't think they're going to get going against Baltimore either. So Lori likes Miami, and DJ is looking at the Ravens. Okay, next is the Atlanta Falcons and the Los Angeles Rams.
Well, man, Atlanta was a little more I thought they were going to be a corpse, and they were pretty frisky week one.
They're going to show up with their chest out.
Yeah, right. They gave everything they had in that game and probably should have won if Winston hadn't caught fire there at the end. The Rams look a little lost on offense. They are Cooper Kupp centric, for sure. The running backs are not impressive. The defense definitely took a step back from what I could see. And, it's going to be a tough ask to go back to the Super Bowl for them after what we saw in week one. But I do think they have a better roster than the Falcons. I expect Stafford and Kupp to really cook as they did in week one. And I'm hoping to see something from Allen Robinson. But I do believe the Rams will take the Falcons and not allow Cordarrelle Patterson to run for over 100 yards. And everything went right for the Falcons in that game. And I just don't see it happening again in week two. I'm with the Rams.
We heard a lot about Matthew Stafford's elbow going into week one. But then right before game time there, he was kind of saying, "Oh, I'm okay. It's going to be fine." And when I watched that game, the elbow doesn't look fine. He didn't have the zip on his passes that I remember him having. He's able to play, but I don't think he's able to be the Matthew Stafford that we've seen in the past. Cooper Kupp is. He's still Cooper Kupp. I didn't like Cam Akers' effort. It looked to me like he just was not running the ball.
Yeah, he just fall down the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Henderson was okay, but Akers was not looking good at all. The Rams have a left tackle issue, and their center's out. He's injured. But I think this game will be easier for them. After all, playing the Falcons is not like trying to play the Bills. The Falcons are much more one-dimensional. And I think the Rams will get it back, and they're going to have, as DJ says, a bounce-back win.
There you go. Them and the Colts.
Okay, next up, we've got the Seattle Seahawks in San Francisco. The NFC West, important game.
Yes. So, we're picking this a little early. I don't know how much more leash Trey Lance has. I do know that he did not look good in that first game with the Bears, and part of that was the conditions. That Soldier Field is the
Yeah, they
Bears
had
are
all
there with the Commanders as
they
bad.
had Ark in the parking lot, and they were loading them 2-by-2 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was arc weather right there. So I think we're going to see a little bit more from the Niners, of course, with better conditions. But I was very impressed with the Seahawks. I really thought Geno Smith. I mean, yes, probably the Broncos lost that game more than the Seahawks won it, but they still won it. And really, I think that that team might be a little better than we thought. I think that the Niners will probably win this game. I'm not sure how they're going to win this game. It may be a combination of Debo Samuel and some play from the running backs. Elijah Mitchell in true Niners fashion under their wonderful head coach, is hurt. I am impressed that every year within the first 2 or 3 weeks, the starting running back for the Niners has a bad knee. It's
Yeah, he
incredible.
was hurt in the first quarter, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I expected him to have a big year. I should have known. But I'll take the Seahawks. I really liked what I saw from them, and I really didn't like what I saw from the Niners. I'm going to go back on what I originally picked.
Okay. We saw a game last year where Russell Wilson got injured and Geno Smith came in and completed 14 straight passes and then imploded in the second half. So that was my memory of Geno Smith. And he come out this year, he completes his first 13 passes.
Yeah.
But he didn't implode in the second half. He didn't have as good a second half, but he was still hanging in there. I think it was 24 for 28 over the game. And that's a pretty good game. I think, as the broadcasters say, could have helped a little bit if he would climb up in the pocket sometimes. He did his drop, but he stayed there, and that's harder on the tackles. Gives them less space to work with and
Sure.
makes a shorter route for a rushing end. So when he learns to step up a step or two in the pocket, things will even go better. Penny looked good, the running back.
Yeah.
He had a good game. I still think their secondary is very beatable. And so in San Francisco, they're going to come into this game really hungry. I was disappointed in their offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got heavy rain conditions like that, you should be able to run the ball between the tackles. You might not win that sprint to their corner, but it's just a pushing and shoving match at this point, and they should have won those battles. They didn't. But I think they're going to come hungry. I don't know how long they're going to go with Trey Lance.
I don't see it.
He's just too inexperienced. And it's not like he doesn't have the talent. It's the problem is his fundamentals aren't real sharp, and his decision-making is very bad. He's usually too late with throws, or he doesn't throw the right kind of pass at the right time. That's the problem. And I don't see that getting fixed, in a week. So, it depends on how many games they want to lose, but I think eventually we're going to have to see Garoppolo back in there.
Yeah, if he starts the whole game, which I imagine they can't pull the plug on him quite yet, but they
gave up too many draft picks for him, and they might sink the ship with Trey. But that's the decision they're looking at. So, with all that being said, I'm picking San Francisco.
Fair enough.
Between Kittle and I think they're going to come back hungry, and their defense. They've got a defense, so I'll go with them one more week. See how it goes.
There we go.
All right, next we got Cowboys and Bengals. Cowboys at home.
So Cowboys at home, and they've got Cooper Rush at quarterback. We'll see how long that happens. That was the worst game of the week. They played literally the worst game one of anybody. They scored 3 points. They didn't look in sync. They couldn't figure out which running back to put in at what time. Dak couldn't find receivers. CeeDee Lamb was almost a non-factor in my opinion.
Yeah,
The
four
offense,
catches, about 12 targets. He just wasn't in the ball.
no. So Dallas's season is basically over after 1 week, in my opinion. The defense is fine. They can't win the game every week though for you, especially against an offense like the Bengals. I expect Micah Parsons to have a big week. The Bengals aren't going to block anybody this year again, so Joe Burrow is going to get sacked a million times, but he's going to find a way to win against this Cowboys team. Jamar Chase is a monster, and they really should have won that Pittsburgh game. If a few things had gone a little bit better with long snapping, and if maybe they had reviewed the Jamar Chase catch on the goal.
Yeah, go back. I thought that was a catch.
Yeah.
And they didn't review it. And there was a couple times he should have reviewed plays he didn't review.
Couple times, and they would have won the game if he had. But apparently the Cowboys are a little worse than the Steelers, and I just don't see the Cowboys winning too many games this year.
I agree with you. I think the Cowboys are in big trouble. Jerry Jones is talking like Dak Prescott will be back in 4 weeks. I doubt it. When you have ligament problem, broken thumb, and probably ligament problems in your hand, in your throwing hand, yeah, it may, Roy broke her wrist a few years ago, and it's still not right. So I think it might be closer to 8 weeks before Dak gets back. So Cincinnati is part of the proof that of the 8 NFL teams that did not play their starters in preseason or in quarterback preseason, or 11. There were 11 teams that didn't start their starting quarterback in preseason. The record is 3-8 during the season, during the first week, and that happened to Cincinnati. They didn't start him at all during preseason, and he was not ready.
Probably because they knew they couldn't block for him.
Yeah, the offensive line wasn't ready, and it was a mess. I can't believe they stayed in that game with 7 sacks and 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions. How do they stay in a game like that? It's just amazing.
Steelers were a little bit slower on offense, we'll just say.
And again, we're going to have to start paying attention to these kickers a little more for all these close games. But I don't see the Cowboys beating Cincinnati. I've got Cincinnati as well. So there, Burns fan says the Bengals weren't very impressive either. They were not. Lori says we shouldn't be talking about injuries. What happened to the HIPAA laws? The NFL is above the HIPAA laws.
Exactly. I have to worry about that at work, not here.
There's too much money on the action. All right, here we go. Next game is Houston Texans at the Denver Broncos.
Well, the Texans and the Falcons were the biggest surprises of the week for sure. That Texans offense looks great. Davis Mills, yeah, he doesn't throw the ball down the field, but I mean, you can dink and dunk. It's been proven. Defensively, they weren't great, but we kind of expected that. The Broncos, they have head coaching issues for sure. That was terrible game management toward the end of the game with Seattle. They gave the game away. Russell Wilson is not going to have the top 5 offense everyone predicted when he went to the Broncos. He doesn't look like he's totally in sync with everybody, but he did look fairly good. He had some plays here and there. And with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick, I mean, they're going to be fairly explosive at some point, but some of the stuff they're doing just, I don't believe in it. I don't know that it'll work. Javonte Williams, they're so afraid to just hand him the keys to the car. He should be a feature back in this league. He's very explosive. He's almost impossible to bring down with one guy. And he's really everything you'd really want out of a starting running back, but they're insisting on doing your 3 yards in a cloud of dust with Gordon. And you know, even with the fumble, I really liked Williams' play in that first game. I will take the Broncos.
I'm going to ride the horse one more time. I like riding horses. Hard to get me off them.
I've seen that.
Lovie Smith has got a winning record. He hasn't had a winning record until, since 2012 as a head coach. He got one now. He's 1-0.
Right.
Hackett's the son of Paul Hackett. He used to be a Chiefs offensive coordinator a long time ago, and I think he also was with Green Bay for a while. He had a bad first day, just really bad first day. Yeah. The play calling wasn't great. His team was undisciplined. They had more penalties than Dallas. We've been talking about that. He had 12 penalties. And in an undisciplined team, you get those penalties at the wrong time.
It bit them over and over.
The decision at the end to let the clock run down, Russell Wilson should have been calling timeout. I don't know if you were watching Peyton Manning. He was doing that for a minute. And he was getting a little redder as the seconds ticked by.
You could see the forehead.
The veins were ready to pop. So Russell Wilson's got to take control of that situation. That was a horrible decision. A 64 field goal. They've been saying it all day on talk show TV. The NFL history for 64 yards is 2 out of 42. Yeah. And of course, that's way better than a 4th and 5 try, right?
Right.
when you got a tight end that was destroying everybody, Alfredo from Missouri.
You had to work that in there.
Yeah. I might work that in there every week. And he's pretty good. It took forever for Wilson to start throwing to wide receivers. The first time he threw it to Jeudy, it was spectacular. But he almost went the entire first half without throwing the ball to a wide receiver. Yeah. So that offense is not plugged in and ready to go. It's too bad we're not playing Denver Thursday. And we're playing the Chargers Thursday. I'd rather be playing Denver than the Chargers. With that being said, I'm riding a horse. I think Denver can beat Davis Mills and Houston, but the head coach is going to have to take a good look on the inside and make some adjustments. Okay, we got Arizona Cardinals at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, I thought the Raiders played pretty well against the Chargers. I thought the Cardinals played pretty terribly against the Chiefs. Raiders, I think everybody but Derek Carr had a great game. Carr was throwing too many interceptions. You throw 3 or 4 interceptions, it's hard to win a game, especially against a team as uber talented as the San Diego or the LA Chargers. So, I think their defense is right there. Holding the Chargers to 24 points is no mean feat. That's not a lot of defenses.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought the Chargers would get more than 30 on them.
Yeah, me too. So, no, I liked what I saw. I like the Raiders in this game. I think that the Cardinals just look lost. They don't have a lot of weapons that can consistently get the ball down the field. James Conner is more of a complimentary player than somebody that can lead the way. And Kyler Murray he's really missing DeAndre Hopkins, you can tell. But he seems pretty skittish to use his legs. And he's going to need to get out and run and get yards to open up these receivers.
I think we had him bottled up pretty good. He only ran
Yep.
for 29 yards, but I don't know that he had really a whole lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and he wasn't looking for him was the other thing. You know, he settled for, you know, being in the pocket, which is what he's supposed to do, in some people's minds. But when it's going that bad, you know, you got to put the cape on every once in a while.
Arizona, let's see, James Conner, the running back, he's bigger and better than I thought he was.
Mm-hmm.
Player.
He had a good year last year.
In Arizona, when they get the receivers back, DeAndre Hopkins, they'll get it. I think they'll get it together. But I was almost embarrassed for the linebacker Simmons, number 6. You know, he went to Olathe North, played on a state championship here in Kansas City, but he never played anybody like Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and he was the play caller for the defense.
He had no chance against Kelce. Yeah. So Arizona, I think Vegas will take them. I don't like Vegas's offensive line. But Derek Carr knows where his bread and butter is, Devontae Adams. And he made full use of that. And if something happens to Devontae Adams, he's still got Waller.
And Renfro.
And what's someone's going to do with Waller? It's going to be the same thing all over again unless they come up with a much better idea. Somebody else is going to have – you can't cover Waller with safety or corner.
He's too big.
So it could be a repeat of last week for Arizona. I'm picking Vegas. All right, Chicago Bears and Green Bay Packers.
Well, this is always tough. Packers, Bears, great rivalry. Some would say the best in the league. And the Packers looked rough again, first week of the season. They bounced back as well as anybody they pretty well throw away the first game every season. So without Rodgers taking snaps in preseason and not doing a whole lot, I expect him to, we're saying this a lot, bounce back. But Justin Fields, he made a lot of plays against the Niners defense. And I don't know if they just didn't pack the right cleats for a monsoon, but the Niners defense, he really did a lot of good things with them. I thought that the Niners would be in the backfield a lot more than they were. So maybe that's a good sign of things to come for the Bears. But I don't see the Bears beating the Packers. Their defense is very good. And Rodgers he's going to tell us to relax, and we'll see what he gives us this week. So I got Packers.
He was the last one that was relaxing, man. Every time you looked at him, he was rolling his eyes. He was frustrated. He was not a happy camper all game long. And he had a lot to be upset about. Lost another, they don't have their tackles. I think they lost another offensive lineman. They called up an offensive tackle off the practice squad, Caleb Jones, 6'9", 340 pounds. And they said he had a great training camp.
Okay.
So
as long as they run right into him, he'll be fine.
He should be able to pass block. 3 first half points. Dallas was the only team that didn't score a touchdown, but I think Green Bay only got 1. Mm-hmm. So Bakhtiari, I thought, was returning, but does not look like it. Lazard did not practice Monday, so he might not be there either. And Chicago's pretty excited right now. They've won all their preseason games, and they're 1-0. Again, the offensive line wasn't as horrible. They're not trying to get by with Peters with the old guy, Grandpa on the left tackle. So maybe number 70 can make some progress and do better on the offensive line. They should be able to put together a running game, and Fields can scramble and make plays.
David Montgomery, great running back.
He is a good running back. Raekwon Smith played well. You know, he wasn't happy being there still, but he didn't show it in the first game. He had a good game. So
he's a pro.
I'm going out on a limb and I'm picking Chicago too. I don't think Green Bay is going to get it back together
right away.
He's frustrated with his wide receivers. They didn't run the ball very well either. So
Jones had a pretty good game, but Dillon was rough.
Yeah, Dillon, I think, had a fumble, didn't he?
Yes, by the goal line, I believe.
At the goal line, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got Green Bay. I'm out on a limb. I'm taking Chicago. I could have a below 500 record if things don't break right for me.
Hey, me too, man.
All right, Tennessee Titans, Buffalo Bills.
Give me the Bills. For all the right reasons. Josh Allen is incredible. That touchdown where he dove through the Rams player and extended his arm, that was amazing. The stiff arm he had out in space where he basically spiked a Rams defensive back off the turf. I mean, that guy's incredible. The running backs are much better than they were last year. The defense looks very good. They're capable. I think they're better in every phase of the game, and the Titans are worse. They put up points, but the Titans are not in the same class as the Bills, and this one shouldn't be too close.
Derrick Henry only had 82 yards rushing, and he was the main running back running it. He had 21 carries for a 3.9 average. That's not what we normally see.
That was the most boring Derrick Henry game ever.
Yeah. Now, Hilliard can catch some passes. He got 61 yards receiving, Dalton Hilliard. But Tannehill only threw 12 balls to wide receivers, and the tight end and running backs got 8 balls. So they're not exactly pushing the ball down the field.
They're missing A.J. Brown.
Big time. Buffalo, on the other hand, they do whatever the heck they want to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, they could not stop Gabriel Davis. They could not stop Stephon Diggs. I thought Jalen Ramsey was going to do a number on Diggs. He's done it twice before. He was lost. Diggs left him in the dust in this game. Ken Dorsey is the new offensive coordinator. And by the way, he was calling plays. They haven't lost anything from Brian Dable going to the Giants. He had a great game calling plays. Mm-hmm. So, and the main thing with Buffalo is that Phillips guy. He has beefed up their defensive line. And now they're stopping the run better, and they're more physical. They were punishing the Rams.
Yeah.
And they didn't really punish teams last year physically like that. So I think Buffalo wins easily over Tennessee. Not worried about that game. I think I won that one.
Yeah, I've got 6 or 7 that I'm not too sure about, but that was it. I didn't go back and forth on that.
Okay, Monday night we got the Vikings at Eagles. This should be a great Monday night game.
Yeah. Man, Hurts looked pretty good against the Lions. The only thing that I could see for the Eagles that might let them down, that defense did not play well. They couldn't make stops. They really got it handed to them by Swift, and Amon-Ra St. Brown looked good. It was kind of a display for Detroit. They put it on the Eagles. It was 38-35. I really expected Philadelphia's defense to start the season stronger. But Minnesota, they had a game. They played great. Justin Jefferson looks like he's made a leap into Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp status as far as wide receivers go. He's, they're A, B, and C for me. He's going to be open all game, I feel like. Cousins is getting him the ball well. Thielen's great. Harrison Smith is like the ageless wonder back there at safety for them. He had an amazing game. Made a couple of really big tackles, and and the defense, Daniil Hunter looked good. I expect them to beat the Eagles, and they might be my NFC pick for the Super Bowl. I hate to say.
So you had 2 TVs set up on Sunday, maybe 3 TVs. And were you watching the Minnesota game?
Yes.
Well, the Chiefs game was on. Yeah, I was glued to the Chiefs, but I saw enough of the Minnesota Green Bay game that the Vikings their defense was just all over Green Bay. They wouldn't let Aaron Rodgers get established in the pocket. They were all over him all day long. I think number 55, who was that guy?
Oh, 55.
Whoever he is, he's a handful to deal with.
Barr, he's there. Yeah, he's a great linebacker for them. And Zadarius Smith, who they got from the Packers, he had a good game.
Yeah, Packers wanting back, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. I can't believe they let him go.
Vikings defense only allowed 100 yards in the second half. Allowed Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers just 100 yards in the second half.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. Eagles, their offense is going to be very good. They're very balanced. There's a lot of things they can do, but like you said, their defense was disappointing.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't think they're going to be able to cover Justin Jefferson. I've got Minnesota as well. And actually, I think they'll win by about maybe a touchdown, actually. Now, the first game, Thursday night, in just 2 days, 48 hours, Chargers and Chiefs.
Looking forward to this one. Well, both teams had pretty good, first weeks. I really don't think that the Chargers offense is fully unlocked yet, other than Austin Eckler. He was incredible. I think that he may have a pretty good game. The Chiefs are letting that middle of the field for running back routes. They're leaving a little bit of an opening there that he'll probably take advantage of. Keenan Allen's banged up. He always has big games against the Chiefs. So if he's out, that's one more weapon down. But the Chargers are loaded. Every position, they have somebody that could turn out to be an all-pro this season. But the Chiefs, it was effortless on offense. They could have
scored 50 or 60 points if they wanted to.
Yeah. I mean,
if it was a college game, they would have scored 50 or 60 points.
Exactly. And, it was like that in the preseason. Nobody really slowed them down other than, maybe they missed a gadget play or something along that line. The defense, how much faster does the defense look? I mean, that's
way faster.
Yeah, they got so much younger. They made some good decisions there. It's going to be a great game. I love what Justin Herbert does. Mike Williams is a beast. And that defense has a lot of guys. J.C. Jackson didn't play the first week. He's a difference maker for them. But I'm taking the Chiefs. I really have a lot of confidence in this team. And the Chargers were really slowed down by a very good Raiders team.
If Keenan Allen's not there, we just have to deal with Mike Williams. And we try to get some taller defensive backs, and they had a good training camp. Now, McDuffie
he's awesome.
Yeah, but is he questionable?
He's on the injury report, but I think they expect him to play.
Oh, good. Oh, great. Because Keenan Allen being gone is a big deal because he does always tear us up. Mm-hmm. J.C. Jackson, is he playing?
They're not sure yet.
Yeah, I think they said it's 50-50. But look at that defensive secondary. Derwin James and Asante Samuel and J.C. Jackson. That's a solid secondary, one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah.
But if you don't have Jackson, They were talking about Derwin James. He is kind of like a Swiss Army knife where he can cover your tight end, he can cover a slight guy, he can cover a fast guy, he can do anything. And they move him around, and they disguise what he's doing. But the one thing that he can't do is guard everybody on a given play. And Mahomes has everybody in mind on any given play. He threw to 9 different receivers, at least 4 passes to 7 different guys.
Yeah.
So how are you going to know where the ball's going? I mean, I think we can work around Derwin James. The offensive line will be challenged. Khalil Mack had 3 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we played him last year. We played the Bears, didn't we? And he didn't get any.
Nope.
And they got Bosa.
Yeah.
But the last time we played Bosa, though, at the end of the game, his tongue was hanging out. He was spent. Remember that?
Yeah.
That offensive line for Kansas City is physical. They can beat you up. And so I hope we get Trey Smith back. Have we heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything yet. It's not. I wouldn't expect him, but it would be great if they could get him back.
The offensive line got off to a great start. There was one play where Creed Humphrey went back about 12 yards behind Mahomes to wipe a guy out. It was just they're mobile, and they know what to do, and they do it.
Yeah.
So, who am I picking? Last year I thought the Chargers were going to go to the Super Bowl, but then
everybody does.
But then Staley started going for every 4th down that he could go for, and that sort of got derailed. I didn't see the LA Vegas game, so I don't know how many 4th downs he went through there, if he's learned his lesson or not. He didn't learn his lesson the whole season last year. So that's I think we have an edge with coaching. I think Andy Reid's a better coach than Staley. But I think the roster is a little better than ours.
It is.
So it's not with confidence. They got Williams. Everett will get more passes. A guy named Josh Palmer that is a young guy, a receiver who could be having a future with him. So we might see him. We didn't see him the first week. We'll see if we see him this week. I'm picking the Chiefs.
All right.
Well, this week is different. We usually agree, but there's quite a few that we have gone our separate ways on. So our records, somebody's going to be in first place. Somebody's going to be in second. Somebody's going to be in third. But right now, we're all in first place, and we can all sleep easy.
It's a good place to be. Well, a couple of the ones that we differed on, there'll be some good games this week. I'm hoping that it's about as exciting as it was the past week. Can't wait for Thursday night.
Yeah, we got 4, 5 differences. I'm really way out on a limb with Chicago and Green Bay, but last year Green Bay looked just as awful the first week, and then they really put it together from there on going forward. Not sure what's going to happen this year.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's one of those things, but I'm gonna take the track record on that one. But man, the Bears did look good.
DJ John 444. Thanks for joining us and staying with us the whole show. And Lori and Bruins fan, thanks for watching. Have a good football weekend. And I think we'll say goodbye here. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, bro.